Thanks everybody for joining us today. My name is Emily and I am the communications manager here at the Road Commission. And we are going to be talking today about the resurfacing that we have planned on a section of Huron River Drive. And so we appreciate you joining us today. I'm going to go over a few housekeeping items. I'll introduce our speaker for today, and then we'll dive right into the presentation describing the project, and then we will open it up to a Q&A period at that point. So our presenter for today and our project manager for this project is Mike Birnbeck. His contact information is here on the page. I'll also show you where you can find it on our website, so you don't have to furiously write it down right now. But Mike is going to be your best point of contact if you have specific questions throughout the project, and he'll be the one overseeing the contractor doing the work for this project. A couple of my housekeeping items are just that. One, the meeting is being recorded, and so we will post the recording to the project webpage, which I'll show you where you can find that. We'll post that by the end of this week, and then we'll also post the slides from today's meeting to that webpage as well. We will, during the Q&A period, we will ask if you want to ask a verbal question to raise your hand, and I'll provide instructions as to how you can do that virtually today. And you also, if you would rather ask your question in chat is enabled for this meeting. And if you'd like to ask your question in chat, I'd be happy to read that out loud and we'll answer that during the Q&A period of the meeting today. So with that, I will turn it over to Mike to talk about Huron River Drive.
Good morning. Our Huron River Drive project that is is the section that was closed earlier this year, actually is on our millage program as a 2023 project. The Board of Road Commissioners approved our suggestion of staff that we move forward this project to this year to eliminate future problems such as we had last year when we closed the road. So the actual section of road that we're working on is from Brass Creek Drive northerly to North Territorial Road. This is a piece, I believe this is just north of Gregory. As you can see, it's outlived its life expectancy. I believe with the way that it reacts, I believe this is one of the few last of our roads, hard surface roads, that was actually done through the process of chip sealing. And over a number of years, we have a number of layers that have just worn out. And we also have drainage issues of getting the water off the surface of the road. So that is going to be part of our job, is to go along and clean out the ditching where it needs to be, clean off the road berm along the edge of the road to allow the water to get to the berm.
And Mike, that was one of the reasons it was closed for so long this year as the thaw was coming out, is because it was so wet. We needed it to dry out before we could really patch to hold it together, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. So then after we take care of the drainage and whatever tree canopy work we need to do, which canopy is trimming up the trees to allow for our trucks to get through and other trucks that use the road along the edge. We're going to bring in a machine called Pulverizer, which will be grinding up the asphalt road. And creating an aggregate surface, creating an aggregate that we can thus go and grade out and build a new road crown and slope so we have good drainage. And that'll allow us then to actually place the 3.5 inches or 4 inches of asphalt, excuse me. There'll be 2 2-inch lifts made. I'm anticipating that process is going to take us about 4 days just in doing the asphalt surfacing. The pulverization is probably going to be 5 days, and maybe 6 to 7 and 5 of pulverization with an additional 2 days to finish up the grading and compaction so we can pave. At this time, we do not have a solid date as to when we're going to start the pulverization, but it will, I'm forecasting it's going to be in mid-October, which gives us plenty of time to do the job and utilize the weather as we have in October, which will be just right for us to do the work. We will be doing dust control. Well, we'll be adding water to the material so that it compacts better, as well as it'll help with dust control, because obviously it's going to be a complete road closure, but people will still drive regardless of whether they belong.
Well, and it'll be open to local traffic if they live
Yes.
in the area, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Mike, do you want to talk a little bit before we get into the details of Pulverized? Do you want to talk a little bit about shoulders, and then what has to happen before the road will be reopened?
Well, then we have, after we place the asphalt, then we'll be putting on aggregate shoulders and then striping it with the new lane lines so that it'll be ready for traffic.
And when you were talking about dust control, you were talking about it when it's in this condition after we pulverize. This is just an example picture that it can be kind of dusty because it's still a loose material.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So there'll be dust control here, not after the road is paved, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. Sorry if I got ahead of myself on that.
No, that's right. and I think a good part of this, an important part of this picture shows too, is that it does make it, you can still drive on it. Again, like Mike said, the road will be closed, and we'll talk about what that means and the detour in a few slides, but that if you live within this work zone, you will still be provided access. There's going to be work going on, but a pulverized surface is still one that you can drive slowly on, but that you can drive on, right, Mike?
That is correct. Yeah, once we get in the bottom left of the picture, that's the pulverizer just as it had just completed its job, its work. You can see that it's sort of fluffy and it looks like sand, but it doesn't act like sand. So you'll get into it feeling like it's sand, but it actually will hold you up, and you just have to be steady and drive through. You'll be just fine. The piece further back in the photo is it's our first compactive effort for the material, which helps us in grading as well as let traffic move a little easier through it. So, and then you can see the asphalt. You can see the road that is waiting for us to help it revive.
In need of help, yeah. So our next picture is an example of what it looks like as we're paving the first course.
Yes.
First layer.
Yep. So you can see how the aggregate base is rolled out and solid, and you can see we've had trucks on and equipment on it, and it really doesn't. It's not affected by motor vehicles. And then we put down 2-inch. We do this in a 2-inch lift, so that's the first 2 inches of asphalt for that road here. And I believe this is 8 Mile Road 2 years ago when we did that up in South Lyon. This was last year's Getty's Road project as it was completed. Shoulders, lines, new asphalt, and of course, nice October day. So
we love those fall shots.
Yes. So as I said, this is originally on the 2023 program of the countywide millage that was on the ballot 2 years ago, and we thank you for your support. So it just so happens that sometimes we don't get to the job as soon as before it falls apart totally. So the road commissioner saw it was a good project for us to move forward. So we're going to do it this year, and then it'll be taken care of. So.
And we're expecting it to cost about $900,000, right?
That is correct.
So it was a big, we can't always move projects forward, but we were really happy to be able to do that this year.
Yes. So. Yep, and once again, the project starts at Brass Creek Drive. A number of years ago, we paved from Mass to Brass Creek. So that we're just starting at that point, moving forward. You will see the detour signs and road closure signs down at Mast Road because we're stopping the through traffic that wants to travel up to Territorial Road or to Gregory. So we want to catch them at Mast. And then at the other end, we'll catch them at North Territorial and bring them across to Mast and down. So that's why the description is very sometimes puzzling, but that's the process we're working on.
And Mike, like you said earlier, you think it'll be about a 4-week closure, but we're not sure of when that will start, right? Later this fall?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
But we'll let you know through Emily's work. That's her job. So once again, there's the projects in red. The detour route is in blue. We will have the full set of signs, and we'll also have a message board out on the road when we know what days we're going to start closing, when we're going to close the road and such. We'll have it out a week in advance. So you'll be seeing, once those message boards go up, then you'll know that our crews will be shortly behind, if not before, as they find days that they can work out there. They might do some with traffic and put up their regular signs for their operation, or they'll wait until we close the road and then they'll work within the barricades. So.
And Mike, at this point, do you want to talk a little bit about when you are paving? And we run into this when we're doing these pulverized and resurface projects and we've got major paving to do, that you pave in one direction, right? And so we'll provide updates if people subscribe to receive project updates. I'll talk about that in a few slides, but do you want to talk a little bit about what paving days look like when we have a map up?
Yeah, we try to pave the roads and work and have traffic moving with us, because in a one-way situation, and probably on this job, we'll probably be coming from North Territorial south, and the trucks leaving and going back out different ways. I'm not sure where we're getting our material from. It's either Rawsonville at 94 or Wagner Road and Liberty. But that's a function of Cadillac's, our contractor. That's their business. But when we're paving, we try to let traffic go whichever way the trucks are coming and moving through the project, and it just makes it safer and easier for everyone concerned. We try to pave one lane at a time, the complete lane, so that we don't have any joints, night joints or such, and it makes it a much smoother road project when we're done. So the first 2 days will be the base material, and then the third and fourth day will be when we're putting on our top. And we just need a few minutes when the machine goes by with the asphalt to roll it, so that if we're by your driveway, you're not trapped. We just might ask you give us a couple minutes to get our equipment situated or be past you, so that we're all safe.
Yeah, so when you're talking about traffic within the work zone, it is going to be a closed road. So we're talking about those people who live there and can access it, and that's their only way to access, right? So if you are paving, if you're starting at North Territorial Road and heading south with the pavers, people who live within there will be able to get to their homes, but they'll have to only travel southbound. So they have to go up and around if they need to get to the, okay. Yeah,
and we'll have flag people up there assisting you as well.
Yeah, and we'll be sure, like I said, I'll explain how you can subscribe to receive product updates here in a minute, but we'll be sure to put out information ahead of time. Paving days are particularly weather sensitive, so it may change, but we'll try to put out information ahead of time when we've got that one-way traffic for local traffic or people who live within the work zone, so that people are aware if you subscribe to receive those updates. So we'll try to get that information out to you.
Yes.
Our next slide is a road meme that we always like to use. And I think, Mike, you're welcome to speak to this too, but I think we like to try to include this because we have seen so many different work zone intrusions throughout this construction season in the past couple, where people see a road closed sign or pass multiple road closed signs and still think that they can get through. And so this is our message of this road closure sign applies to you if you do not live within this work zone and it's the only place that you can access your home. You can go through and get to your home or place of business. But if you are just traveling through, this road closure applies to you. And we do that to keep you safe, but also to keep our workers safe and to keep us being as efficient as we can in how we pave and how we get this road back open. It slows us down if we have to try to maintain traffic throughout the project. So it's a safety thing. It's also an efficiency thing.
Yes. Yes. You know, and while we're there, I mean, if you have family or friends coming to visit you, they certainly can come in. They're coming in to see you because you live within the road closure. So they're part of that local traffic only piece of the law. But you know, for people just try using it as a commuter route, that's where the road closed means your road closed and please use the detour route. And that's why we have the detour route for you.
Okay, so the next slide we've got here is about all the different work we have going on. Luckily, this is a little later in the season, so a lot of this work is in progress right now or has been completed. And yes. So I don't know, Mike, is there anything you were on the mill and overlay on Huron River Drive earlier? Is there anything you wanted to comment about project coordination?
No, I think we're in good shape because the work up on North Territorial will be done in the next few days, weather permitting, and so I don't see anything that's going to inter, other than the weather, us to do our work and complete efficiently.
Hopefully October will be as nice as September has started. So.
Yeah. So yeah, so during, you know, going back to the closed roads, that is stipulated, and we do help to let the mail delivery come through, the school buses, the local trash pickup, and anybody that's coming in to, you know, if you have a lawn service or other services that you need, such as UPS or FedEx, we work with those people all the time, and we'll by the time we get the asphalt there, we'll have met probably everybody, so everybody will know what the deal is. So that's the stipulations of our jobs. So.
And then the turf restoration or the spot restoration, if we disturb grassy areas, then we'll put back
yes.
seed. Expect that comes usually into play with some of our drainage improvements that we'll have to do. So
yes.
All right, so with that, we're almost to our Q&A period, and we've got some great questions coming in through chat. I wanted to just take a minute here, to share our website, and I'm going to show you how you can find the project page on our website. There's a link in the chat as well. I'll share that again. And then here again, we've got Mike's contact information. So as we said at the start of this, Mike is your best contact person throughout the project, and we'll show you where his contact information is listed on our website as well. So let me pause the show here for a second, and I will pull that up. So this is a shameless plug for our website in general. We're at wcroads.org, and there is a ton of information out there for the public about the road system in Washtenaw County. So we've got a really robust FAQ section. We've got a way that you can submit potholes or other road requests right through our website. So I encourage you to check out the whole website. But what I'm going to show you today is where you can find our construction projects. So if you go under this road work and construction, and then we've got our current projects page. And this has a great map of all of the projects, all of the major projects that we have planned on primary roads throughout the county this year. A lot of this work has already been done since we are later into the construction season. But you can see that there is a road segment for Huron River Drive. So you can click that more info and it'll pull up a page for this project. And so this is where we've got Mike's contact information. We'll update this with the schedule once we get a little closer to the actual start and once we know the schedule. This is where we'll post project updates. So throughout the project, we will try to put out together updates where we talked about paving days and just kind of progress updates. We like to include pictures whenever we can, just to let you know how we're doing on the project. So those will be posted to the website. They also will be sent out via email. If you subscribe here, you can click to add your email address to our projects list. And so we do road-related emails on all sorts of different topics. We put out road advisories ahead of closures or lane restrictions, and we do that by township. So if you want to receive other things, you can. And then we also do project-specific updates. So if you want to only receive emails from us at the Road Commission about Huron River Drive, you would just click that one spot and you'd only get emails about that project. If we go back to the project page, whoops. This is where, in this helpful links area, that's where we'll post a recording to today's meeting and the slides. Like I said, we hope to have that posted by tomorrow, just so you can watch again or share it with people that weren't able to join us today. So that's the project page. Again, a great resource if you are looking for information about the work or for Mike's contact information or just more information in general. So let me get back to the slides here. So that brings us to our Q&A period. And like I said, we've got some great questions coming in chat, and we already have one virtual hand raised. So let me just go over some quick instructions as to how to do that. And then you're either welcome to ask us a question in chat or raise your hand to ask us a question verbally. So if you're joining us from your computer or smartphone, you want to first make sure that you've clicked the join audio button. And then you'll want to look for the reactions button. It's either at the bottom or the top of your screen, depending on which version of Zoom you have. And then there's the raise hand button. If you have joined us from your touchtone phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. And we'll switch back and forth between the questions in chat and then the questions that have come up with raised hand. So let's start with a chat question. Let's see. The first question came from Liz. Mike, the question is, will the road be widened at all as a part of this work?
Not very much, possibly a foot on each side. This is not we're not building a brand new base and so forth. Is just working within the constraints of what we've had on that project, on this road for years. So it's not going to it won't get any wider, but we'll be painting the white lines at a little narrower. So there will be a little bit more edge or asphalt on the outside of that white line, but not considerable.
Okay. And now we've got a raised hand. This is Kay. Kay, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Hello, go ahead with your question.
So thank you for the update. My question is about improving the drainage. So I have lived on Huron River Drive since 2006. And having water on the road in this section in multiple spots is not new. So when you described clean out the ditching and crossroad culvert replacements, it all sounds a little bit generic to me. And so I'm wondering really how extensively you evaluated the drainage problems and whether you're going to do really more than just sort of generic drainage improvements in those particular areas.
Well, we do, well, a function, one of the easiest ones we can do to get the water off the road, and so it doesn't pond along the edges, is there's a what we call berm, or the grassy area right along the edge of the shoulder. We're going to be removing that piece, and that'll help the water get off the road and onto off the shoulder, off the aggregate shoulder. So hopefully that'll help the situation. And any of then the next thing we'll do there, we do know there's a couple crossroad culverts that we need to inspect, clean out, or replace if they need it, and clean out the ends so that they function better. And thirdly, if there's any ditches that aren't working and have driveway culverts that we need to clean out, we will. but we understand there hasn't really historically, we haven't had a lot of open ditches along this road, and we're not looking to create open ditches. We think that the water, if we do the minimal stuff that we're talking about, I think we're going to be doing just fine. We're doing this also with the help of the local district maintenance crews. So they're much more in tune to each area. So I'll be working with them to make sure we get as much fixed as we can.
Well, and Kay, I think is your address, I see in your username, you've got I'm assuming that's your address. We can also reach out to you after the meeting and talk specifically about your property. And because we've gotten a couple questions in chat that I think might be better off to have one-on-one conversations if it's about a specific property. So Kay, is that your address?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, if you want to send us a message with your phone number, I can share that with Mike after the meeting, and then we can contact you about your specific property.
Okay, I guess maybe one follow-up question. If you get all this done and there's still water on the road, is there a chance to go back in and make modifications like next year?
Oh, well, number one, I hope we catch it all, but if we don't, oh yes, we do monitor, we do make sure that we protect the investment of the community and make the road as safe as we can. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. We've got a couple, we'll go back to a chat question, and then we got another hand raised. So we'll keep going back and forth. Okay. So the next question comes from Joe, and his question, Mike, is what is the expected life of this resurfacing?
We amortize our investment for 12 years. Obviously, it helps to have our routine maintenance come in, but routine maintenance for us is to come and place a layer of chip seal, which helps protect the asphalt from the weather and from the sun. And that'll be in the next, we're trying to put these on a cycle of, every 6 to 7 years we do that. We're trying to do it, the first application within the first 2 years from when we put this new asphalt down. And that's been the goal of the road commission for now 10 years. It did, but it's all a function of finances as well. So whatever we want to help and do, sometimes it's a financial situation that plays into it as well.
Yeah, we often hear from people that we just spent all this money on this road, and then a couple years later, we're putting more money into it. Like, what the heck? And to Mike's point, we're trying to preserve that asset that we just spent a lot of money to improve. And so we chip seal roads that are in good or fair condition. And Mike said, we try to chip seal a road within a year or two of it being placed. And so no road lasts forever, right, Mike? But we can certainly help to extend the life of that and protect that asset by doing things like preventative maintenance and chip seal and crack seal. So that'll definitely be part of this road's life as well. So, all right, we've got a hand raised. We've got Jim. You should be able to unmute yourself now, Jim.
Glad to join you today.
Good morning.
There are probably very few people who are as grateful as I am that the road is finally going to be resurfaced, frankly. I have just a few very quick questions. Is Cadillac Asphalt going to be the primary contractor?
They are the primary contractor for through the program that I run, yes.
Okay, and were they the contractor that did the work between Mast and Brass Creek Drive?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Will the decel aprons be resurfaced? There's 2 subdivisions off of HRD.
Yes, but they don't fall within my project because I'm north of Brass Creek. So I can't picture when I go, because what I'm doing from Brass Creek up to North Territorial, the only side road we have is Gregory, but yeah, if there are, my memory, sometimes I've driven so many, but yes, we generally do work on the decel lanes as well.
Okay, I believe there's Quail Ridge subdivision and Hidden Woods subdivision
Okay.
on the east side of HRD. The
Yep.
reason why I was asking. I noticed that went out and took a look at Brass Creek Drive and where Brass Creek Drive actually meets, or the seam with HRD. It looks like the contractor cut into Brass Creek Drive maybe about 18 inches or so. Is that typical to cut into an existing road or a sub road?
Well, a lot of times when we do the work, we try to take out the existing joint and make, and we create a new one basically. But yeah, we try to take out the older joints that we have and replace with new.
Okay, great. That sounds good. I understand. That's all I had. Thank you,
Okay.
Emily. And thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Thanks,
No
Jim.
problem.
Okay, we've got a few more questions in chat, Mike, so we'll keep plugging along.
Sure.
Let's see, this is from Stephanie. She says she's very happy for the project, so thank you. And her question is about, she says that there's a lot of bikers that ride to the park. Is there a plan for a bike lane? Worried about gravel shoulders. So as Mike said earlier, Stephanie, there is not any bike lane associated with this. We'll have a slightly wider paved shoulder, but this is not a road reconstruct. This is not a road widening project. This is that pulverize and resurface. So it would be a lot more expensive and outside of the scope of this project and our budget to add an official bike lane or to add any type of non-motorized facility here. Right, Mike?
That is correct.
Okay, this question comes from Liz, and she is wondering, is there any concern about traffic taking a shortcut through the Brass Creek subdivision if they don't believe the road closed signs?
We do not suggest that.
It's not part of the posted detour, right, Mike?
If that is not part of the detour. So if we see that that's occurring, we can put up some signs. But and we do talk with the local sheriff's deputies and such. So, but other than that, no, there's nothing that we can physically do unless we shut it totally off.
Right. Well, and Brass Creek's,
but that's
Brass Creek, yeah.
That's a private road too, so it's not a part of our road network. So, but I do understand your question. But right now pretty much our hands are tied with that, with helping or making, traffic is traffic, unfortunately.
Well, and usually what we find is that the first day or two after a closure, kind of traffic flows like water. It kind of goes everywhere, and then people figure out the routes that are going to work best. And we have the posted detour. People are allowed to use public roads. Like Mike said, that these are private roads, but we have the posted detour. That is the detour for every, we sign that detour for every type of vehicle. But it always is a little chaotic at the beginning of a road closure as people are figuring it out. So, okay, this question comes from Jim, and he said, will the project include a drainage swale with driveway culverts under driveways on the east side of the road? We kind of talked a little bit about this, Mike, and this one might be a good one to kind of talk more one-on-one about specific properties. Is there anything else you want to add?
If there's existing drive culverts, we usually do try to clean those pieces out and help to create a positive flow. But we're not, we're not going and looking for or helping clean out driveway ditches or driveway culvert driveways that do not have existing culverts. We're not, that's not part of our project, but to help with that exist, the culvert driveways that do exist, yes, we do work on those.
Okay, let's see, we've got another, or Kay's got her hand raised again. Kay, if you should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Yes.
I had a follow-up question about the sort of the shoulders.
Mhm.
So in 2018, the Washtenaw Area Transportation System issued a report where they looked at areas that needed more non-motorized transportation. And one of the areas that they identified was along Huron River Drive. This is a more populated area. I live in Webster Township, and they said it would be a good improvement for the residents to have a path next to the road. And you mentioned that this project uses some of the millage money, and the millage money, 20% of it goes to non-motorized transportation. So I'm wondering if any of your projects have included like a path beside a road, or how do you get to connect the roads with these paths that are needed?
Yeah, great question, Kay. So you want to take it, Mike, or you want me to?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so you're right. So the road millage that was renewed by voters in 2020 was a road and non-motorized millage. And as a part of that program, 20% of the money raised each year, because we get that money out of the December tax bills. So 20% of that goes to the Department of Parks and Recreation here for Washtenaw County, so separate than the road commission. And that money is put into their non-motorized projects. And so they put a lot of that money into the border to border pathway. And then they put a part of that into what's called a Connecting Communities grant. And so that is separate than the road commission. The 80% that we receive go to a very specific amount of projects that we put together ahead of that election that we publicize out there to the public. But we're working on road projects, and then the 20% goes to Parks and Recreation. I don't think that this section of Huron River Drive is part of the border to border system. And those would be more questions for Parks and Recreation. But I do know that this project is any type of non-motorized facility like you're talking about, Kay, like a pathway along the road, is outside of the scope of this project and this project's budget. But we are supportive of pathways along and within the county roadway, and we work closely with Parks and Recreation when they have funding available or there's grants. And so there's a lot of movement on that, but those are led by other organizations that we partner with, but that we're not the funding organization for those types of projects, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, let's see. So we'll keep plugging along on our chat questions, Mike. Let's see. This comes from Mary, and she is wondering, will work crews be working on Saturdays and Sundays?
We do work a 6-day week. Sundays are generally left alone for the crews to rest. We may find ourselves in a situation where we may, because of weather, it may be advantageous to be there on a Sunday, but we generally do not work on Sundays. And we're not setting it, this job is not set up to work on Sunday at this time either.
Okay, here's a question from Susan, and she said, well, we have to show ID to get through to our house in the closure.
No, ma'am. There's no, we have people that come and tell us their house address, and it really doesn't mean too much to us because we're not, we're not getting that nitpicky over this, but we do, we catch on to who's coming and going. So after a few days, everybody will be waving at each other. So, but no, we do not check IDs.
Okay, let's see. Laura is asking for more information about drainage, and it sounds like maybe about her specific property and where the driveway meets the road. Laura, if you want to either reach out to Mike, we've got his contact information. I can show it one more time again here in a minute,
Yes.
and ask specific questions about your property, or if you want to give us your contact information in chat, I can share that with Mike. But I know we've talked a little bit about drainage already here.
Yep.
Let's see, Jim has another question, and this is, as part of the project, has consideration been given to lowering the speed limit to 35 miles per hour from Mast to North Territorial, consistent with south of Mast into Ann Arbor?
That is a function of a different department within the road commission, and that's the traffic and safeties. And there's a whole procedure they have to go through. So I guess we we can send your question up to, and your information up to that department and let them get back with you on that. But as for what's planned within the scope of this job, the speed limits stay the same as they are today.
Yeah, and like Mike said, there's a whole formula, and typically if there is a request for a speed study, we can put that request into our service system. And Jim, I know you and I've talked about a lot of different things. If you want to reach out to me, I can put a request in for that. We wouldn't do that study until after the construction. And generally, you know, a speed study is looking at the current speeds that people are traveling and then evaluating it based on speed law. And a big part of that is the 85th percentile rule as a part of that. And so we can't just arbitrarily lower a speed limit. The data has to support it. And a lot of times when we do speed studies, we actually have to raise the speed limit. And so, Jim, we can talk more about it if you want to give me a call, but that is not, like Mike said, that's not part of the scope of this project. Okay, we've got, let's see. JB has a question about the material that we're going to be using. Is the asphalt material being used for the road surface different than the material originally used? You kind of alluded to this earlier, Mike. You want to talk a little bit more about a chip sealed road?
Well, you know, originally when all these roads, a lot of these roads started off as a gravel road, and as more and more traffic, more and more vehicles per year used it, one of the inexpensive ways to cut down on the maintenance and dust control was to chip seal a gravel road or regraded gravel road. And usually it takes 2 or 3 times applications of that, those materials to create a surface that will stand up to traffic, though it's at a lesser life expectancy. And so, you know, this was done quite a few years ago. It's almost 40, probably better. But you know, so we are now going to be putting in a full cross section of a brand new hot mixed asphalt, 2 lifts, a total of 4 inches. So it'll be what you see, what we have out on North Territorial and Mast Road, and you know, the connections of that nature. So
chip sealing an unpaved road is not a practice we partake in any longer, is it, Mike?
That is correct.
It's kind of an old school. Okay.
Well, we just it's all based on the volumes of traffic, and we have so many of our roads, the volumes don't allow us to build a road in that fashion anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure the volume has increased just a little bit from 40 years ago on this stretch of road. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a question from Stephanie. You know, how do we get a project for pedestrian bike-friendly traffic routes? Stephanie, we talked a little bit about this already. I'd be happy, I can give you my phone number in chat, and I'd be happy to talk more with you about this. Like I said, this project does not include that, but there's a lot of that type of work going on across the county that the Road Commission is happy to partner with, but is not the lead agency on. So I can provide my phone number, and if you want to give me a call, I'd be happy to talk. Or if you want to provide your phone number, I'm happy to give you a call and talk further. So Kay's got a great question about just how to get information throughout the project. So actually that's a great segue to our next slide here. And so I think I've made it through all the questions in chat. So if you have another question for us, you're welcome to raise your hand or ask it in chat here real quick at the end. But this is Mike's contact information. Mike is the best person to contact if you have specific project related questions throughout construction. You're always welcome to call the main line here at the Road Commission. We are open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. But Mike is the expert on this project. So this is his direct line here. And we've got his email address. And then as I showed earlier before we went to Q&A, we'd really encourage you to subscribe to receive project updates. And that way you can get email updates as we're making progress throughout this work. We'll send out an email as we get closer to the start of it, and Mike will put out a lot of different signs. So we're trying our best to help people understand where we're at with the project and what road construction is all about in this situation. So I think we've made it through. Let me double check all of our questions. Those who have specific drainage ones, I don't see any contact information in chat, but if you want to reach out to Mike directly, he'd be happy to talk with you, I know, about your specific property concerns. And then Stephanie, like I said, I'm happy to talk with you. If you want to give me your phone number, I can give you a call to talk about non-motorized. But let me see, we just got a new one. Okay, Stephanie, thank you. I will give you a call. And Mike, is there anything that you'd like to add as we wrap up for today?
Nope. Just looking forward to doing the work. This is what we do.
Yeah, we're very excited to have this one on our list. Oh, great suggestion from from Liz, is we also have a weekly roadwork schedule that you can subscribe to receive. It's all part of that email subscription page that I showed you. And that's something we send out every Thursday saying what we have planned for the upcoming week. So that will show across the county what we have planned for the upcoming week on our major projects. So that's another great resource. I'm glad you use that, Liz. We put a lot of work into that, so I'm glad it's helpful. And Kay, if you want to talk more about non-motorized, if you want to give me your phone number as well, I'd be happy to give you a call, and we could, oh, actually, I've got it. I will give you a call and we can talk more about that as well. Let me save this chat here. Okay, well, thanks everybody. Like we said, we will put out signs, we'll put out email updates as we get closer. We're thinking maybe October, right, Mike, for the start of this?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
And we're thinking about a 4-week closure, but we'll provide a lot more detail as we get closer, so. Okay, well, thanks everybody. We will end it there. We got through all of our questions, and we hope you have a good rest of your afternoon.